Welcome to Mary Alice.
What did you do?
We are a Desperate Housewives recap podcast with me, Erin McGee.
And me, Jakub Tansey. Two best friends breaking down each episode until we answer the ultimate question, Mary Alice, what did you do?
Unless, of course, we have finished season 1, in which case, insert new mystery here.
Yes, there's a lot to unpack on Wisteria Lane.
Content warnings can be found in the episode description.
So get comfortable and let's get into this week's episode. Hello.
Hello.
This is our third intro we've recorded in the space of a few hours, so we're running out of things to talk about.
We have had to divide all of our anecdotes with each other, and also we meet in the morning in advance and had to basically talk about nothing.
It's been a rough one, but here we are.
I'm having a great time. We've been speaking a lot about home reports and lifetime ISAs.
Yeah,
so you can
riveting chat.
Oh yeah, it's really popping off.
Yeah. I have no updates on my home going journey from last week because for me it is the same day.
But I did get very excited because I was able to impart some wisdom onto Jakub and explain some legal things, which made me feel very happy. Yes, she did do her work experience at a law firm.
That's right, honey.
We also have a friend who's an ex-mortgage advisor. Anyway.
That's true.
But how have you been in the last 5 minutes?
Well, for this episode, my chat that I've noted down, kept aside, if you will, for this.
Yeah.
Well, I went to London the other week.
Mm-hmm.
I went to see Stray Kids on their world tour. It was an incredible time. My life will now be divided into before I saw Felix and after I saw Felix. But I told you I was going to talk about London, but this was a ruse. This was a lie.
Oh.
What I'm actually going to talk about and ambush you with a little bit is the TV show From, and how much you need to watch it, Erin. You need to watch this show. I have half a mind to change this podcast to a From recap podcast. This is the best show, one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I'm utterly obsessed. It consumes my every waking moment. I've spent so many hours on YouTube watching theory videos. It's bloody brilliant.
You sound like me, age 12, watching Lost.
And it's got one of the same actors and it's made by the same people.
Well, what I will say is I did genuinely consider it because I'm in my horror era, meaning I will watch films now that are a 15. But when I looked up the images, the first 3 on Google were so terrifying that I don't think I can do it.
But the horror is such a backseat to the show. They push it in the marketing. It's a mystery first show. It's about the relationships with the characters and the mystery and the theories. There's some background horror going on. There's some monsters kicking about. It's like an episode of Supernatural.
I have a proposal for you.
Go on.
I will watch the first episode of From if you watch the first episode of All of Us Are Dead, which I have been trying to make you watch for 4 years, I think.
Deal. I'm shaking your hand virtually right now.
Have you seen those memes? It's like, hello, it's Pinkins, it's Fairy, glad to meet you.
I scroll past them all because I don't get them, but I have seen them.
Well, that's us.
Okay. So I'm going to hold you to that.
Okay, I was going to say by next week, but next week's our week off.
No, yeah. But we could watch the premieres. Well, next time we have a week off, we could plan to watch them together, with the first episodes, and we'll see. And we'll report back.
Yeah. I also think that now that our Dagny episode is out, we don't know how that's been received yet, but I assume that you all fell in love with her as much as we did. Maybe we do a bonus episode of us watching that documentary Lover, Stalker, Killer that she wants us to watch.
Yeah. That is definitely on the list.
I think that would be really fun. But yes, next week, Jakub and I, in real life, you will still be getting us on the pod. We have arranged to meet up without doing the pod.
It's very exciting. We so rarely have social outings anymore.
Our social outings at the moment consist of either going out, or on our lunch break going to Subway.
Between records.
Between recording episodes. So yeah, I'm excited. We're going to play some board games.
Hell yeah, we are.
I'm a big board game person as well. And you're very good at them. And my partner Rory is very good at them. Annoyingly so, he always wins, but that's by the by.
Well, just wait till we give Arcs a go next week if we play that. Anyway, I don't want to get too niche. Is there anything specific you had kept aside for this intro?
Here are my updates. I'm going to Santa Ponza in Mallorca
on my birthday.
Which I told you about after you'd had a drink, so you wouldn't be as mad at me. But it's also for my mother's birthday, and it's not my fault that Leos love me. How mad are you at me on a scale of 1 to 10?
I'm fine.
Oh no, he's furious. I'll take you out for dinner before or after. And also, Jakub, how many of my birthdays did you miss when you were living in Japan? You chose to go to Japan. And miss all of those birthdays.
And did I or did I not mail you birthday gifts?
And did you? Well, you've not given me the opportunity yet for this one. I didn't mail you anything in Japan. I think I sent a text. I think I sent a meme.
A meme?
A little meme.
A little meme.
Will we get started on what I would say is a really, really solid episode? And we also have a very good I told you so moment from Jakub coming, I assume.
Maybe.
So the cold open of this.
Okay. Well, let's get into it because I don't remember what I'm about to read from my notes.
Yeah.
So let's see what I said. So Mary Alice voiceover starts by telling us that some of the many things that oh yeah.
Let's get into it, Erin. I'm like, it's right there. It's the first thing that is uttered in this episode.
So Mary Alice voiceover tells us some of the many things that Gabby knows for certain include the fact that red is her color, which was not something that came up in the pilot episode, which is something that Erin was adamant it was.
I think I doubled down. And
You
was
did.
like,
You really did.
Even after I watched the pilot, I was like, it's there.
Yeah, she comes out to that funeral in black and you said, red is her color.
I will say though, that this is the first time we hear that, but it is definitely Gabby's color.
We rarely see her in it though.
I think it's because she's too powerful.
It's her secret weapon
It is her
for
secret
emergencies. So yeah, the things that Gabby's certain of include that red is her color, that diamonds went with everything, and that men are all the same. But the one thing she knows above all else is that she knew she'd never want children. And unfortunately for Gabby, her husband felt differently. And throughout this whole voiceover, we see Gabby go to check the mail in a gorgeous red dress, dripping in diamonds, you know, casual about the house outfit. We see a man playing catch with his son in the yard over, ogling her.
Just doing a little...
Yeah, a little cheeky wave. And then Carlos steps out on the porch and looks out at this father-son moment in envy, which Gabby definitely clocks. And then later we see the two of them in bed, Carlos and Gabby. I feel like we have to clock or specify who Gabby is in bed with at this point. So it's Carlos and Gabby. And Carlos once again has his arms out for Erin.
I was like, arms out for, I thought you were doing like a pour one out for Harambe type of thing. And I was like...
No. So Gabby starts to talk about how lucky she is to have a man who hasn't left her despite differing views on kids.
Oi.
She's basically just looking to reaffirm this in this moment, I think. But Carlos tries to go on about how she might change her mind, but Gabby just shuts it right down by initiating sex, as she always does. Mary Alice's voiceover that tells us what we're all thinking in this moment, that Gabby knew without a doubt that she didn't want to be a mother, but that what she didn't know was just how much her husband wanted to be a father. And we see a quick montage of Carlos continuing to tamper with her birth control.
For months.
Months, intercutting with them having sex. And then Mary Alice finishes by telling us that Gabby also didn't know that in 1 week's time, she'd be pregnant. Do 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 do. I tried to go for like a villainous version of it.
No, I liked it. I put picked up what you were putting down.
Nice. And in the next scene, if you want to tell us, Erin, we get one of our favorite kiddos.
So post-theme song, we get on her bike, Little Miss Ashley Bukowski, aka Emily Chirujas, friend of the pod. And that's not just me saying friend of the pod, as I do with everybody that I mention on this show. Literal friend of the pod.
Yes. It's so exciting. And we see her ride her bike right past Gabby as they exchange a dirty look. And we know from our interview with Emily that she immediately crashed that bike into a camera. So go listen to that bonus episode if you haven't already.
All the kids on the street are playing, and I will say that it kind of felt a little bit creepy cult-like to me, because it's also, the lane sometimes, the way it's shot, is so uncanny valley, cookie cutter, and they do something really interesting with this kind of idyllic version of suburbia where it's lit, where you can tell it's a studio set. So it did give a bit, like the kids are laughing and giggling, and it could have been a horror movie. So the police come to Paul's door, and they are asking about the toy chest. One purchased specifically in August 1992. This is now 2004. So why do you think that Paul remembers purchasing a toy chest 12 years ago? Zach comes over and I think tries to save the day by saying that they did have one, but as a child, Zach busted it by standing on top of it. The police, for some reason, decide to give a bunch of information about the ongoing private investigation, telling them that a toy chest is washed up, there's a chopped up woman inside. Once they leave, Paul...
Hey, you don't ask, you don't get. Much like us with our guests on the pod. Because Zach asks them, they don't just like willingly offer up the information.
True. Speaking of don't ask, don't get, Mark Moses, do you want to come on the pod? I'll talk about your arms. But other than that, I promise that I'll keep it real chill. So Paul says to Zach, obviously we need to talk. And it cuts to them walking inside and Felicia there with the most giant, ominous pair of garden shears that you've ever seen, as if she is about to decapitate Paul.
And there's no bushes or hedges in sight,
No.
so she's just spending her time cutting through Paul's lies.
She's just shearing. And hilarious, iconic. And as I showed you on the break from the previous episode, there is an edit on TikTok from Not With Cereal Lane saying, the caption of which is, hate sex would fix them, about Paul and Felicia. And I can't stop thinking about it.
It's excellent. It is excellent.
Please send us any weird fan edits of the show, because Jakub won't watch them, but I will.
Hey, I'll watch them if you send them via Instagram on Reels. I'm not a TikToker.
He will see them in 4 years.
Yeah.
And he will love them.
And I will. So then we hard cut to Zach and Paul arguing inside as we learn what latest story Paul has told Zach. But honestly, at this point, he's lied to the boys so many times that we have to take everything he says with a grain of salt. I feel.
I'm like, I don't believe you, and I know what happens.
So Paul, in this case, has been telling Zach that when he was little, a private detective came and tried to take Zach away from them, from the only family he'd ever known, and they couldn't let that happen, and they didn't. And it seems they're arguing now because Zach assumed that the private detective was a man, and the person who'd been chopped up and put in the box was a woman. And I guess they just had confusion over that, I guess. But come on, Zach, it's 2004. Women can be private detectives that are murdered by your parents and put into boxes too.
That was very funny. However, I read the scene differently. I read that Paul had said it was a man, and he is gaslighting Zach and going, I never said, because Zach goes, yeah, you did. You did say it was a man. And Paul's going, no, I said it was a person. I didn't say it was. And I read it as that way. Paul is doing lie upon lie upon lie. A lasagna, if you will. The only private detective we have heard of on the lane at this point is Mike Delfino. And I think it's very interesting that Paul says a private detective came to take Zach away.
Planting seeds.
In our next scene, Felicia is unpacking her groceries and she asks Zach if he would help her. He's doing like a Last of Us guitar playing on the porch thing. And she offers banana bread, to which I wrote, Jakub, you would immediately fold and go to this random woman's house if banana bread was
I
on the
literally
cards.
said that would work on me. I went through a phase this year of making banana bread constantly.
You did very well. You made good banana bread.
Thank you.
I'm not going to lie. I don't like banana bread, but I ate it anyway, and it was good banana bread. So they go into what was Martha's house. It's where Felicia is living. And she remarks, "This is the place where good taste goes to die."
And that's my quote of the week, baby.
Felicia reveals to Zach that she knew Mary Alice, which I think is a really interesting card for her to play, especially in private. She says, "I once met you when you were a little baby. Your mother loved you so much, Zachary. Of all the things I remember that the most. And I personally see Felicia always as half manipulative and half genuine. And I do think there's genuine compassion here, but it is to lay the path of the manipulation that's coming next."
Excellent analysis.
She says, "Oh, you know what else I remember? How lovely your original name was." And Zach says, "Dana."
Yes.
And Nina, Dana reveal.
Yes, in real time with the viewers, Zach connects the dots in his head. He is Dana.
We are all Dana. Do we think that this is Zach realizing that he's Dana, or do we think this is him confirming to Felicia that he knows?
I read it as he's realized it himself. Because I feel like he's got such mistrust for Paul at this point that he'll take anyone else's word over his.
I remember being absolutely shaken by this reveal. I think because, and I don't know how this is for everybody, I don't know if this is an American thing, a UK thing, or whatever. Dana does not strike me as a gender neutral name.
No, it does not.
But I was trying to look up a little bit, as much as I could. And it was quite a unisex name in the US at that time.
Okay,
it was predominantly still names that people were using for girls, but there was a large amount of boys being called it too. I think it wouldn't have been as big of a reveal, but I think I would have understood it a bit more if it was something like Alex, Sam.
Yeah.
But then we wouldn't get this amazing moment. And I love that Felicia is the one revealing it.
I also, it didn't even occur to me until she said it that, of course, she might have met Zach before as a baby. Because that all kind of went, sorry, to put the timeline together in my mind.
Well, it deepens the lore because it also means that Mary Alice isn't just some colleague, that she knew her in some way. We've alluded to, because in the videotape that Paul sees Felicia in the background and she says something like, "There's no one more deserving," which is quite an intimate thing to say to someone, implying that she knows her really well when she's wearing that awful Lisa Rinna wig. So honestly, even now, knowing that that's what we were building up to, I got goosebumps.
Incredible.
It got me.
And that was our little mini Zach arc.
Or should we say Dana arc?
Dana arc. Ooh. Susan is painting when we hear a car crash outside. Julie looks out the window and announces, "Grandma's here." We see Susan's mother, Sophie, has crashed into Mike's car by mistake.
Yep.
And when Sophie realizes this is Mike, she gets all excited, gives him a big hug and so on, not realizing that they've broken up, and it's awkward. As they're walking away, Mike says sarcastically that he'd have never guessed she was Susan's mom, referring to her clumsiness. It's very funny. But Sophie takes it as a massive compliment, announcing that she got pregnant when she was a tiny teenager, the first time she got drunk. And Susan quickly ushers her away.
By a Marine.
Yeah. I'm glad we're not recapping that. She asks Mike what he's smiling about, and he tells her that all the questions he had about the way she is were just answered.
It's so good. If this isn't simply the greatest casting I have ever witnessed in my adult life, I do not know what is. I think that family castings, when you have pre-established characters like this in general, are so tricky. You don't want to go too caricature. You want them to look a little bit like them, but not their twin. Some people get them perfect. Some people do not. I looked this up a little bit, and Idina Menzel and Leah Michele play mother and daughter.
Sure. Oh, yeah. I remember that was a goodie.
I also saw people mention John Ralphio and Mona Lisa from Parks and Recreation. But for me, this is kind of cheating. But the first one that came into my mind was the young and the older Alison Hightower in House of the Dragon.
Oh, yeah. I literally didn't notice that they changed actresses at first in that.
Yeah, that's incredible. So, another thing I want to add. Sophie, aka my personal monster of the week, gives +1 to the car crash count. I think we're on 4.
Wow, we're really zooming through them.
I also think it's interesting that Mike seems so deeply, overwhelmingly unimpressed with Sophie, which when she's displaying the exact same qualities that Susan did upon their first meeting.
I didn't read that from Mike particularly.
Oh, I thought he was quite unimpressed. You seemed a bit like... But then it could be just because, he was bumping into an ex and it's awkward.
Yeah, that's what I read it as.
I love that Sophie is walking chaos and makes Susan look typey.
Yeah, oh my God.
Susan becomes Julie in their dynamic, and it is fascinating.
Mike's right. It answers a lot of questions about the way she is.
Sophie and Susan are cooking in the kitchen. They are in matching pink. It keeps cutting to Susan cutting an onion, and I thought that Susan was going to lose a finger, but she doesn't. Sophie does read in this scene, I would say, is incredibly young. They're talking about love in general, and Susan remarks that Sophie and Marty, which seems to be Sophie's latest husband, give Susan hope that you can find love later in life. It is very, very clear very quickly that Sophie and Marty are no longer together. Sophie says that Marty shoved her, and that when Sophie confronted Marty about all of the young women he was hiring in his pancake restaurant. Am I getting that correct?
Yeah, she says something like, you should see the women they hire. They keep getting younger and younger every year.
And then, I'm not going to defend Sophie much in this episode, but she does say one line, which I'm going to defend her for. She says she's very tired. And Susan says, you're not tired. You took a nap. Excuse me, do not erase my culture. I could go for a nap anywhere, anytime. I'll take a nap right now. I won't.
I hope you don't. I would like to leave before dinner.
Susan here is a little bit mean to her mum. And I'm probably not going to say what you think I'm going to say, because I bash on Susan quite a bit. I think the reason that Susan is like this with her mum is because Susan is finding Sophie's behaviour incredibly triggering. I think that it doesn't read to me as mean for the sake of being mean. It feels defensive to me. It feels like it's coming from a place of protecting herself. Yeah, it's hard for me to root for Susan, but I do here. Even though during the scene, Sophie is saying that Marty physically threw a book at her, and it feels like Susan doesn't believe her. But again, Sophie is being kind of established as a bit of an airy-fairy, dramatic, over-exaggerator.
Yeah, that's fair to say. I really enjoyed the moment when, after the comment about the waitresses getting younger, and Susan says something like, oh, well, maybe you're just getting older. And Sophie's deeply offended by that. And she says, people think we're sisters. And Susan says, that's because you tell people that. That really cracked me up. Also, you mentioned the onions earlier. When Susan says that, like, oh, her and Marty are the only ones that give her hope, she's kind of like teary-eyed a bit, but it's also like, maybe just from the onions. Or is it because she's torn up over Mike?
Oh.
Or is it the onions? It's really not that important. But I just was like, that feels intentional.
Something else that I want to talk about. Susan, presumably, is reverting into her younger self, which feels very like Julie, right? Okay, stay with me. This will take a minute.
I'm in there.
In the moment where she is Julie, for the first time, we see her cooking.
Is that the first time we see her cooking?
First time we see her cooking. I just thought it was interesting that we've heard that she's made this mac and cheese before, but other than that, we've never seen her cook.
Yes.
And it's not until this moment where she is reverting into the mode of the caretaker that she is doing that.
That's fascinating.
Did the writers think about it? I don't know, but I would like to know.
Yeah, we'll have to get one of the pod. Please.
Have we now reached the point because we've had 2 guest stars and now we have to beg for them?
The well is dry now. After
the well
the 2.
is dry. I am, so my first dream guest star is still Danielle at this moment in time. Mark Moses.
That's my number 1 right now.
And I want the good one of the Scavo kids.
So Susan and her mom are at the spa and they have a similar conversation to the last scene about Marty when Susan brings up that she thinks Sophie should give him a call and get started on working things out. One of the spa staff working on Susan's feet gasps when Sophie wonders aloud why Susan would want her to go back to a man that abuses her, or as Susan puts it, a man who had allegedly shoved you once in 5 years. Susan won't be happy until Sophie has bruises, she tells the spa worker. When Susan asks what she's going to do then, because clearly she relies on Marty financially and whatnot, that's clear from this conversation.
Susan says, "You don't like to work."
Yeah, which is so relatable. Sophie says she was thinking that she could move in with Susan. And from the shock of that idea, Susan becomes the abuser and fully kicks the spa staff member in the face when her knee jerks, breaking the staff member's nose. It's slapstick, it's chaos, it's very Susan. It was pretty funny, to be honest.
It was quite funny, especially when the woman's like, "Just leave."
Yeah. Eventually, Sophie runs off upset.
Also, crucially, whenever you and I use the name Sophie without any surname, we are referring to Sophie Elspexter.
Yeah.
And so it keeps throwing me.
Murder on the spa floor. Ooh, that really tickled you. Oh my goodness.
Next, we have Susan turn up to the diner where Marty is. They are talking about the incidents that Sophie is claiming have occurred. Marty admits he did both of those things. He shoved her because she was hitting him, and she was hitting him because he threw a book at her. When Susan gasps, he remarks, "It was a paper bag." I know this is controversial, but Susan's outfit is so ugly, it's cute.
I have no memory of what she was wearing.
She's wearing like a dark denim jacket, but the denim looks fake. Okay. An orange beanie and a bright blue scarf. But it's just very of its time, rom-com, the holiday. I loved it. Marty basically wants to be the pancake king, as the previous man wanted to be the siesta king. Susan is trying to negotiate because she doesn't want her mother to live with her. And Marty talks about their amazing chemistry and the great sex before he goes outside to talk to Sophie. While Susan is talking to the waitress about her situation, saying the day my mother will want to move in with me, blah, 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 and speaks specifically about the day you become your parent's parent, which felt so ironic to me. We can see in the background that Marty is being repeatedly whacked by Sophie. I just think it's interesting that Susan's greatest fear is what she is doing.
Yeah, and that's definitely why this whole situation is triggering for her.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why she settled into this dynamic with Julie in the first place, because it's what she knows and it feels familiar.
Definitely.
And she's not processed the relationship with her mother enough to make sure that she doesn't do that again.
Yeah. Few things I noted about this scene was that I'm obsessed with Marty. I love him so much. I want to set him up with Ida Greenberg. I just see them together.
Oh my gosh, they would be so good together. Yeah. Hanging out with Marty and Ida.
Oh, the dream team. He's basically like this harmless old little man. And so when you see him...
Okay.
I mean, when you see him, I feel like you understand what Susan was saying, or like Susan's perspective when she like almost didn't believe Sophie about him getting violent and stuff. Because I think when Sophie's talking about that, you might picture someone else, but this is literally like an elderly gentleman.
Yes, but I think it's also significant that Marty admits that he's the one that started the violence.
I don't think he did. He said he threw a book, but I think he said like, well, she threw like 3 at me or something.
I think he says, well, at least I missed.
We'd have to review the tapes.
Let's go back to the tapes.
Yeah.
Why did I have it in my head that they were both just very toxic people? Maybe I was watching too many scenes of Gabby and Carlos.
The other thing I noted is that I laughed when because Susan starts talking to one of the waitresses, and I laughed because of Sophie's previous comment of, oh, they keep getting younger and younger. This is very clearly a very like middle-aged woman.
This woman is older than Susan.
Yeah. It cracked me up.
I think it's a very interesting conversation it's speaking about, in that most of us could get into a situation where our parent has to move back into our home, and what that would mean when a parent-child relationship is the one throughout our life that we're constantly renegotiating. And what that could mean for us, and how a lot of people talk about moving back into the home. I'm really curious about your experience with this. Moving back into your home after having been away as an adult. And some people are great with it. Some people aren't great with it. A lot of people say they find themselves when they go back home kind of regressing and becoming a bit of their younger self, or at least settling into the younger self dynamics in terms of siblings. And I have moved back home. I will say my mum and I had, just because my mum was a single parent, not in a Susan and Julie way, it did feel like as a teenager into adulthood, we'd already kind of started a bit more of a roommate dynamic.
Sure.
In a lot of ways. But I do find that when I go back to my siblings, despite the fact that my sisters are both in their 40s now, they are 13 and 11 years older than me. When I am with the two of them, I feel 5.
Interesting.
And I do find myself having a little bit that I have to like snap myself a little bit of, oh, I'm the baby and I'm being left out because I'm not as cool as them. And like a bit of a, oh no.
Bless.
And I had such a chip on my shoulder when I was younger about being left out, because my sisters had all of these memories and all of this childhood that in my head, I know now that this isn't true, but in my head I was like, I missed it. And you have this connection with each other that I don't have, and I'm the 5-year-old that's trying to get into your room when you're wanting to go out. And yeah, I do think there's a bit of that in this arc, this kind of, you hold so much of your early dynamic with someone, even well into it.
I would agree with that.
Yeah. Bree and Rex are discussing the fact that you're able to visit Andrew in Camp Hennessy, and Bree's making him a care package, but she's making it very clear that the care package does not include her presents. Presents, not presents. Rex is trying to convince her to go, but Bree says that she will feel attacked by Andrew if she goes. Bree then says that she wants to bring lemon bake. Is it lemon bake or lemon squares?
Lemon squares, I think. Something lemony.
Yeah, which are banned. And Rex is saying that she shouldn't do that. It's against the rules. Maybe Bree feels guilty, and Bree denies it until Rex leaves the room and she sneaks the contraband lemon bake back into the bag.
I mean, maybe. I think definitely. She's on full guilt mode, I think.
Have I ever told you about how I accidentally smuggled something into prison?
No.
This is a true story. So when I worked in the theatre, we were doing a play in prison in HMP Stenhouse. Is it Stenhouse? The one in Edinburgh. One of the ones in Edinburgh. It was the one Peter Tobin was in, so I was very excited because that was like the boogeyman growing up. So we were going in there and we all brought in our packed lunch, and I'd brought in one of those like Lemonade Plus glass bottles. And I had gone through with it and then ended up on the other side and then saw lots of signs everywhere about how under no circumstances you should be allowed glass in here. And I was so scared that they were going to put me in handcuffs.
They're not going to let you leave.
And they wouldn't let me leave.
Oh no.
It was terrifying. And they had such good security. Shout out to my people in jail. Because they honestly, every single room, it required passes and cards and individual people. And then another person would have to take you. And it was so high tech and they had scanning machines. I don't know how I got this glass in, but now I can say I have successfully smuggled something into jail.
Well, if I ever need anything in there, I know who to go to.
It's me.
Fantastic. In the next scene, Bree is grabbing her mail from outside when, in the distance, a darkness approaches, barreling towards her with thunderous intention. A gaggle of Satan's spawn comes Lynette, making a beeline for her like Terminator chasing a car, pram and all, her kids in tow, calling out to Bree.
And they're all, because they are the spawn of Satan and from hell, to keep themselves cool, having ice lollies.
Yes. And Bree tries to rush inside, but it's clearly too late. Lynette is here to spontaneously dump her kids on Bree. And for that, Lynette is getting my title of worst neighbor.
Nah.
Fair. Bree tries to escape with words of a messy house. We know it's spotless.
Yeah.
And errands to run. But Lynette guilts her into it by explaining that there are actual human beings waiting for her with margaritas. Look at her. She's wearing a dress. She's wearing makeup. Bree still tries to get out of it, but Lynette says, "Oh, for God's sake, Bree, I'm wearing pantyhose." Are those just tights, by the way?
The pantyhose are like tights that go up but don't have the top bit of the tights.
Sure, okay. And
oh, wait, are those stockings? Yeah, I think.
Okay, I feel like I only hear it in America.
Please
so I'm like, what's the UK equivalent?
I'm going to Google it live on the pod. They're tights.
Okay.
I thought maybe they were more of the stockings version.
Sure.
But they're tights.
So the look that Lynette is giving Bree here could commit murder. I swear to God. Like, suspect in Martha's murder, Lynette's expression in this moment.
Oh my gosh. And she's so, dare I say, desperate.
You can say it.
The next scene, the kids are at Bree's house and they're causing colouring chaos.
That's fair to say.
It's aggressive, even, the way that they are colouring the pictures on the table. Porter is told multiple times that the cookies that Bree has baked need to cool first before they get them. He tries to get them again, to which Bree says, "Don't be common, young man."
That was so funny.
I burst out laughing because it was so unexpected. We then have Bree threaten to spank Porter, to which the twins and the good one reveal that Lynette only ever threatens to spank, but never actually follows it through, which we do know from pre-established scenes from previous episodes. Porter, because he does not fear consequences, decides to push it, and he pushes those cookies right off the bunker. They're on the floor, and Bree takes him away, saying, "Your fate is sealed." Bends him over and whacks him multiple times, and you can just hear, "Ow, ow, ow."
Bree is then later sitting in her bedroom. The kids are gone now. That we'll come back to that later in Lynette's arc. Bree is sitting in her bedroom, still in her dressing gown, staring blankly at her bed, which has her clothes sprawled all over it. Something is off because we have never seen Bree so disorganized. Mm-hmm. Rex comes in, wondering why she's still not ready for them to go and see Andrew at the camp. And Bree admits that she wanted to wear Andrew's favorite color, but has realized she doesn't know what it is. And she's clearly very, very distressed by this. Rex is really quite great in this moment and comforts her, reassuring her that she is a great mother, and eventually tells her that he'll wait in the car. And then to herself, Bree kind of just says that she'll go with green. Everybody loves green.
Which, judging by everybody's house, including my own future home, is correct. This scene really hurt. I think it's interesting that I genuinely consider this vital information about Bree. She says that Rex's favorite color is blue and Danielle's is pink, which are the two main colors we see her wearing throughout the entire beginning of the series. And because we know wearing someone's favorite color is important to them and something that she thinks about, that her clothes are actually a reflection of love. So even these teeny tiny little details in her prim and properness are actually little declarations of love for the people in her life. And it melted my heart a little bit. And then I got sad because I realized, Jakub, that I am not fully confident what your favorite color is. Would you like to tell me, or would you like me to try and guess it?
Well, I hate asking people to guess, but if you enjoy guessing, you're welcome to.
Is it blue?
It is, but specifically like a sky blue.
I was going to say like a little like baby blue, light blue, somewhere in that region.
There we go. You knew it deep inside.
I knew it deep inside, and you're wearing a blue t-shirt, so I thought it was a solid bet. I knew that
I do wear a lot of blue.
You wear a lot of blues. You wear a lot of pinks, but I don't think it's your favorite color. And you also have blue eyes, and I don't know. We've spoken about that a little bit before. What do you think mine is? There's only one incorrect answer.
This is upsetting because I know you've mentioned it on the pod recently because I clocked it, and now I'm like, what did you say again?
Oh my God, I did mention it so recently. And then
Was it purple?
It's lilac, yeah.
Lilac specifically,
and then you sent me that horrible sticker on Messenger, which is me in my minging purple cardigan.
It's not minging, and you wear that a lot, and it's very cute.
I don't like wearing it because I can't pull it off, but I like the color of it.
Simply not true.
In this sticker doing, and maybe I will post it on the Instagram. It's me doing this horrible thumbs up, and I just look so defeated. Also, does my thumb bend back weirdly? Can you see that? Is that too far?
Well, that's as far as mine goes. This is great for the audio listeners.
This is bonus content. Patreon only, baby.
Yep.
I will say, though, that, she is getting caught up on the teeny tiny details and thinking that's how you know someone. And that's not really the case. I don't know if my mum could tell you my favorite color.
I think that's similar to though earlier in the season with the dynamic with her and Rex, where Rex is very much just, or even with the kids as well, they clearly just want quality time, and she's too busy showing affection through cooking nice meals and all these things which aren't really being as appreciated as what just time together would be.
I think for me, as part of this kind of love language thing she has going on with colors, not to overanalyze it too much, I think she sees wearing the colors as almost like the way that people wear their country's flag. It's like her claiming this kind of patriotism. And the reason I'm saying it is, even in this scene, she's wearing baby blue.
Yeah, that's fair.
So, yeah. I thought
we've also said that, like, Bree pulls off any color and she doesn't have one color that's hers before. So I think that also tracks because she's not wearing her own color. She's wearing everyone else's.
Yes. And I wondered, what's her favorite color?
I think it's green from the sounds of it.
Well, she does have a lot of great green outfits.
Yeah. So in the next scene, which was also quite upsetting, at Camp Hennessy, Bree and Rex are waiting to see Andrew. Bree has an uncomfortable look on her face as she clocks a woman with leg tattoos. And I had an uncomfortable look on my face seeing what Bree was wearing. Erin, it's just slightly too similar to that one look she had early on that I compared to an H&M carpet.
You
Get
hate
it away.
her Chanel suit variants.
Not all of them, but it's the material.
I didn't mind it.
And the fringy bits. Oh, it's not for me, babes.
But also, when did Rex become a good husband?
Okay, because this is his moment. A counselor comes out and tells them that Andrew is ready, but that he won't go ahead with the session if his mother is involved. So Rex is amazing here and basically says, well, fuck Andrew, then we're leaving.
Yeah.
Get that fire exit door. So He says that any mistakes made in Andrew's parenting were made by both of them, not just Bree.
Yes.
But Bree pushes Rex to see Andrew anyway, so Rex goes inside and we get a glimpse of Andrew and Rex hugging. And then we see Andrew and Bree make eye contact while she's still waiting outside. So Bree waves at him, but Andrew just closes the door and it's very cold.
Yes, and I do feel for Bree in this moment. And then that ends. Because in the next scene, I don't like how this was written. And I'm going to put that out there. Bree is outside waiting and she sees a couple of other mums. And again, we are seeing on this show what is coded as less financially well-off people being less moral or less loving. And I hate that trope on television. I don't think Desperate Housewives is the only victim of that, but it really, really grinds my gears. The suburbs versus working class contrast makes me feel physically ill. But anyway, she is listening to these mums' conversations. She doesn't like what she hears. Why? Because people in the suburbs are better than everyone else.
She has an aggressive look of disgust on her face.
Exactly. These women who, you know, I mean, your husband was seeing a local sex worker. You've got Susan, who's a car crash in herself, despite being in car crashes herself. You've got Lynette, who's stealing her kid's ADHD medication. Your other friend's dating a child. Your other friend, who's kind of your friend, Edie, was sleeping with a priest. But no, let's judge the women for having a complicated relationship with their sons at the same camp you are.
You're so right.
Anyway, this spurs Bree on to jump in and storm the counselling session, where Andrew, turns out, was not trying to ignore Bree. He was trying to use Rex as a softener. Meaning he was trying to tell Rex first, because he thought he would take it better, that Andrew is a homosexual. Bree, hearing this, has a horrendous reaction.
This was not on her bingo card.
This was not on her bingo card. She was like, well, you were correct. I will go wait in the car.
Her initial reaction is, huh? Which is the exact same reaction she had when Rex told her he likes to be dominated. And so I think we've just seen before from her that her default response to things that give her shock are like, I need to remove myself from this situation.
Yes.
But with Rex, she came around to it after kind of like she processed it a bit. So although, I mean, we all know where this plot line eventually leads to, but from this episode alone, I'm thinking I have hope that Bree just needs a minute to cool down. Not even cool down, but kind of process this information before she can kind of talk normally about it, so to speak.
I think that it's interesting that they've contrasted this idea that Bree doesn't know this superficial piece of information about Andrew's favorite color with something so much more significant, that she doesn't know something so much bigger about his identity and about who he is. And in some ways, that's what she should be upset over.
Yeah.
I just thought that was a really nice parallel, dynamic, contrast,
definitely.
shebang.
And that's what you missed on
Bree. I knew that's what you were going to say.
In this scene, Lynette is screaming down the phone at a 13-year-old.
In this scene.
I don't know where I've got this energy from.
Are you ready?
Woo! Woo! Also, Parker has real hair again.
Yeah, the good one.
The good one. It's not a wig.
What is he being told off for? Is it playing with dead flowers?
Something like that. Or maybe the flowers are dead because he's been playing with them.
Yeah.
But anyway, Lynette is screaming down the phone at a 13-year-old basically because she's getting ready for a night of catching up with the women, which we heard in the previous scene with Bree. But her babysitter is cancelling. Clearly, she feels a lot of pressure to like look and be her best. But it's always chaos with the children, and the babysitter has cancelled, so she's phoning around desperately trying to get a new one.
Christy, who is 13, is trying to blackmail Lynette by asking for $100 to babysit.
I don't think that's blackmail. I think that's asking for an unreasonably high payment. But as a babysitter, you would expect to be paid, Erin. That's not blackmail.
No, it's blackmail for the amount. She's saying, it's, well, not blackmail, but
it's extortion. Extortion. There we go.
Because we know that is $170.18 today.
Well, maybe she's planning to go for an all-nighter. Maybe she's planning a full weekend bender. We don't know how many hours that covers.
Christy is Christy Axelrod, Tiffany Axelrod's big sister. Canon.
Yeah, it's in the lore.
It's in my lore.
Now, yeah.
Imagine if we need to write a fake pilot episode of Wisteria Lane.
We do.
With all of these characters.
Maybe that's why she's trying to extort Lynette then, because her kids painted her sister blue.
Yeah, she wants hazard pay.
Yes, it's like insurance.
Yes.
We got there.
Christy Axelrod sounds really good though as a name.
It does.
Christy, Tiffany. It's like, so one of my favorite games to play with people is I hear their siblings' names and their name, and I work out whether or not there's either A, a massive age gap, or B, there's like step parents or different parents in there somewhere.
Oh, okay.
Because the genre of name has shifted. So if someone's like, we've got Dennis, Stuart, and Arlo, and like something has occurred. There is another person who has decided on a name somewhere that has changed the dynamic of names. Or so much time has passed that your
name
tastes
trends
have
are new, yeah.
So for example, you and your siblings, same genre, same little bubble.
Yep.
My siblings, very same genre, very same bubble. My sister's kids, one of them, we have Jamie, then Keelan and Roman.
Different.
Age gap. Anywho, we then get to a poker game. And Edie isn't there, so it's rubbish.
Let's move on.
Next, but even Sophie is at the poker game. Where is Edie? She would have a field day with all of this drama. And do you imagine her meeting Susan's mum?
Oh my God. I don't think anyone was prepared for that interaction.
Yes. Bree admits very casually that she spanked Porter, and the mood immediately dissolves at the table. Bree genuinely doesn't see the problem with it. I do kind of think that this is because Lynette so often is threatening to do this that Bree assumed that she was following through. I'm not saying that's correct. I just think that Bree genuinely thought that Lynette was spanking the kids. Lynette is very clear about the fact that she does not do that and she does not agree with that. And Bree says it absolutely will not happen again now that she knows that.
It feels like quite a heartfelt apology in that moment.
Which should have been the end.
Yep.
However, then Bree is like, well, why don't you spank them? They're little terrors. And naturally, Lynette gets defensive and is like, where is your son again, by the way? And these women, once again, are the same. They are both deeply insecure about being bad mums. And they are riffing off of each other's insecurities.
But I do think that Bree's wound with Andrew is a lot more raw and current, and that it was a low blow for Lynette to go there, even if she is being defensive.
I think that it is a very low blow. And I do think it's too far, and it escalates the situation into higher than it was. But I do think that Lynette is seeing it as, you talk about my kids not behaving, I'm going to talk about your kids not behaving.
Yeah.
And that's, so to her, it's even though it isn't.
And then at the end of the scene, Susan tells Sophie that poker is usually more fun than this.
What I also find really interesting is Andrew is at Camp Hennessy for being badly behaved.
Yes.
Is what we think. All Susan knows is that she found out Andrew was gay and now he's away at a camp.
I forgot Susan knows. Oh, it's not funny. But like,
you know what I mean?
I do know what you mean.
And she hasn't said anything
Susan just said, this is not my business.
Susan is the queen of not my business. Let's swap the kids around. If Julie had been Bree's daughter and Danielle had been Susan's son.
Very different scenario.
Very different. Danielle's not cooking for Susan.
No. But Bree would be much more fulfilled as a mother with Julie as a daughter, I feel.
Yeah. But yeah, I just found that really interesting that Susan is fully aware that Andrew is gay. And she hasn't said anything, which I'm not saying was her place to say, but she has all of a sudden, immediately after finding out he was gay, seen that he has been sent away.
Yeah.
Which is not good.
Not a good look. So we then cut to Lynette furiously ranting about Bree to Tom, annoyed that he's not fully on board with her side, or at least not as mad as she is. He does seem to agree that Bree shouldn't have spanked them. And Lynette drops some of her lore. We learned that her mother used to beat her and her sisters all the time, and she doesn't want to become her mother.
Yep.
Tom, I would say, is supportive of Lynette, but equally trying to be a realist in this moment when Lynette is ultimately being triggered rather than thinking rationally for once.
It's a good scene for Tom.
Yeah, and it's a good episode for Tom. And he points out that their threats of spanking used to work, but that the boys have caught on to their empty threats, and that sooner or later they're going to realize they outnumber them, and they got to adapt somehow with their discipline.
Yes. I mean, don't make me agree with Tom.
But here we are.
But yeah, I think it's interesting that Lynette is saying, my mum used to beat the hell out of me and my sisters. And that feels above spanking, the way that she has said that. It is suggesting that Lynette was being physically abused as a child, which I think, one, explains the overreaction to Bree, and two, also kind of explains why she hasn't quite found her parenting disciplinary style, like why she's in that kind of weird limbo.
Yeah.
I do think some people, again, I'm going way back. This was way before, because again, I don't know the right timeline exactly of all of this, Jakub, in terms of socially, especially in the wider world. I'm thinking about within the UK. I feel like when we were younger, kids were still getting spanked, but it was very much spanked, not hit.
Yeah.
And I feel like now it's very much nothing like that. But I think it's interesting that Lynette is still in a social norm of spanking, but she has made a connection that this is physically not okay.
Definitely.
I think some people hit their children or would spank their children out of anger as opposed to out of discipline.
Yeah, they're more reactionary than anything.
And that feels like what might have been happening to Lynette.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay, next scene. One of the toothbrushes is in the toilet. It is the toothbrush of the good one.
Do we include the good one when we say the spawn of Satan? Or is that specifically directed at the twins?
I feel like the good one is also a bit Spawn-like, but only the spawn of Satan by a technicality. I feel like he goes along with it because otherwise he is outnumbered. He is picked on. He kind of has to roll with the bad punches.
Sure.
So he's kind of like, he's spawned by association.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Please continue.
So his toothbrush is in the toilet. The good one no longer has a toothbrush. Preston then threatens to put his toothbrush in the toilet. And Lynette, in a callback to Tom's conversation, is trying to do the spanking threat, but it is not working. She then, I think in a great moment, has a compromise with herself. She doesn't shift her morals in any way, but she says, well, if you do not do that, I will walk you over to Mrs. Vanderkamp's house and we will see what happens then. And now we have the threat. And I like that she did not yield. And I like that you can almost see before she speaks to Bree, her realizing Bree's point of view.
Yeah, because you said that she has a compromise with herself, but I
Yeah.
think she also has a conflict within herself because
Yes.
she's suddenly realizing that at the same time.
It is really interesting. And parenting styles are hard. I think, we're in an era at the moment where a lot of people are talking about gentle parenting. People are talking about gentle parenting versus permissive parenting. And every child needs a slightly different way of being disciplined. I didn't need disciplined for doing bad things. I needed disciplined for not minding my business, for talking too much, for trying to interrupt conversations, which I still do and try not to, for talking over people, for finishing their sentences. But I didn't need, don't put your toothbrush in the toilet.
Yeah.
We're on to Gabby.
And this is a awful plot line. I hate it.
This is yike soup.
Yikes soup. Yeah, I noted that if after this plot line, we've not found an episode where you don't rank Tom as the lowest husband, then we never will. Anyway, we'll get there.
I think this arc in particular is very difficult to dissect because some of the choices that they make in it are so extreme to justify other extreme choices.
It's an endless chain.
It's yike soup.
It's yikes soup.
Take it away,
Yeah.
Jakub.
So Gabby comes home from a shopping trip to find Carlos with Dagny Kerr's acting teacher, Mark.
Oh, hi, Mark.
Hi, Mark. Oh, hi, Mark. So how's your sex life? The girls together
Also,
get it.
Why is he there?
The ominous hospital man, Mark, is there to essentially deal with the settlement or bribe that Gabby accepted on behalf of the two of them but didn't tell Carlos about. And so now Carlos is in the know.
He's a snitch.
Indeed. And he has this weird, satisfied look on his face, ha ha, I got you, Gabby. But mind your business, Mark. You're trying to stop the hospital getting sued. Why are you getting into this marriage?
I would like to dub Mark as Mark the Narc.
Mark the Narc. Sorry, Mark, but you've been asking for it.
Cruising for a bruise on your Mark.
So yeah, it's obviously a surprise to Carlos. Gabby should probably have taken acting lessons from Mark too, especially in improv, because she is a fish out of water here trying to explain herself.
Bad liar Gabby has returned.
Yeah. And so Mark eventually excuses himself, hopefully to go worry about the hospital. And then Carlos is acting calm, but the second Mark is out the door, he starts screaming, mad that they could have used the money for his lawyers to avoid jail time. But eventually Gabby says that once he calms down, he's going to realize that she did the right thing and she'd appreciate an apology when that time comes.
She even says, you had Laotian convicts sewing casual wear for 2 cents an hour. Don't you think you deserve a timeout?
And she's right. And so is the Justice Department.
Our next scene, Gabby is painting her toenails. And Carlos is trying to introduce the idea of a post-nuptial agreement where Gabby gets nothing for divorcing Carlos if she divorces him while he is in prison. Carlos threatens to, if she doesn't sign it, divorce her anyway, which would mean a 50% division of their current assets, which for Carlos right now looks like nothing. Carlos mentions that she is beautiful, but stupid. And Gabby says that her being pretty and therefore stupid helped her note Carlos's secret bank account in the Cayman Islands, saying that when she was supposed to burn all of that paperwork, Gabby put Susan to shame and was one of my gals because she read every single document. So she is fully aware that Carlos has a lot more money than he's letting on. He has a secret bank account and she knows where it is. 2 toxic people.
Yeah, and presumably this is like the bank account where he put all the profits from his slave labor crimes that he's been committing that the prosecution couldn't find, hence the weak case against him.
Carlos then gets violent, and whilst he doesn't get physically violent with Gabby, he does throw a vase, to which Gabby says, I know, baby, it hurts to lose. And they feel extremely volatile.
Yeah, and Carlos is fizzing with anger.
And it does feel like these, for me anyway, these people should not be together.
Well, I mean, I would argue they wouldn't be good for anyone, so at least it's contained if they're together.
Two bad people.
Yeah. We then later see Gabby out for a run in her classic pink velour tracksuit. And coming from the opposite direction on the other side of the street, also on a run, is John, the now adult gardener.
Will I ever be free from these shackles? I thought we were done. I thought I was over it. I thought I could live in peace. Now Gabby's run into her freaking ex-fiance, which Carlos has no idea about.
Oh my God. They're both taken off guard, and so were we. And so they both stop and kind of awkwardly wave at each other from across the road. But when John takes a step as if to cross over and talk to her, Gabby gestures for him to stop, looking a bit panicked. John seems confused, and Gabby turns around and runs back the way she came.
Because from John's POV, she just broke up their engagement, and this is their first time running into each other.
Yeah, and John, the now adult gardener, he's shirtless in the scene, and he is so stunning in the scene.
Is he?
Jess Metcalf, I mean, he always was, but now that we're referring to him as the adult gardener, it feels less weird to acknowledge.
Oh, fair enough. No, I see topless in the scene.
Oh, yeah. I cannot believe you didn't clock that. I genuinely... His arms are on full show, Erin. Full show. Wow. Wow. I also like that they were both carrying iPod classics.
Oh, which is where you first watched Desperate Housewives.
I was at iPod Touch.
Oh,
Yeah.
you were fancy.
That came later.
I wanted one of the big brickier iPods. I didn't really want the little one, but I did have the little one in lime green, and it was stolen. Anyway, I'm still mad about it. Next scene. I have something to discuss that is not the thing you think it is.
Oh.
Because I'm going to avoid the end of the scene right now. Is there some sort of weird foot fetish art going on with Eva Longoria's feet? Because the amount of intense feet-related stuff this poor woman has had to do on screen. When I think about, like, do you remember all the weird leg moments in the beginning and the foot in John's crotch, and then she was painting her toenails in the previous scene, and then she's got her feet out again in this one? It's too much of a coincidence at this point.
Maybe she wore her Uggs to set, and they were like, oh, shit, you didn't bring your heels? Well, you're going barefoot then, babe.
I love that Dagny was like, she was wearing Uggs.
Yeah, I loved it.
So Gabby is reading a magazine, and Carlos chucks the Post-Nup at her again. Gabby is saying, you know, I told you that I know about your secret bank account, and Carlos reveals that he moved the money out of the Cayman Islands. And he begins to approach Gabby, and Gabby is wincing away and looks genuinely afraid of what Carlos is going to do. Carlos says he could not let her make a fool out of him. He physically picks her up and forces her to sign the post-nuptial agreement. And not only is it painful and extremely aggressive and violent, it is also used as a leverage to justify Gabby's next choices.
Craziness. He's very, like, financially and physically backing her into a corner. He's like taking a steps towards her, and she's literally trapped, and she tries to make an actual run for it before Carlos grabs her. He's got like a hand on her face, a hand on her hand with the pen in it, screaming at her point blank. It's horrible.
And make no mistake, this is abusive behavior, and this is abusive behavior which is escalating. So that's why I wanted to clock the violence of the vase being thrown, because quite often I speak to people who in my life who've been in abusive relationships, and it never starts with somebody hitting you.
Yeah.
It always starts with they throw something, or they punch something near you, or they punch something next to you, and then slowly, and we are seeing, even in this episode, an escalation from throwing a vase to him physically harming her.
Mm-hmm.
And it's scary. It's scary to watch. And from what I remember, Carlos never does anything like this again, which I am not using to justify it in any way. I am using that as a why did the writers do this and have such an extreme act of physical abuse and physical violence only for that to never be part of Carlos's character ever again. I don't understand. The only thing I can think of is to make Gabby's next behavior understandable. And there is so many other ways they could have chosen to do that.
I just think like with a lot of things in the early seasons of this show, the writers just didn't see it as big a deal as we're talking about it in.
Yeah, because he doesn't slap her across the face.
Yeah.
And I think in 2004, maybe that was seen as kind of what we were saying about Gabby in season 1 with John the Child Gardener. It's not seen as unforgivable. It's seen as a mistake. And that's how the writers have written it. With a lens now, as one, as an adult, and two, as somebody in 2025, it feels unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just hard to sit with. And it's hard to juggle.
Carlos will not be getting any points later when we rank the husbands.
Yeah. There's also something that I found quite odd and morbid. So are you familiar with the TV show One Tree Hill?
No, I know it exists, but I've never watched it.
Exactly when it started. So One Tree Hill came out and aired roughly the same time as Desperate Housewives. In 2003 is when it first started. And some cast members from the show have started a podcast where they're talking about their experience. And they noted that they were told by networks that viewership went up when there was physical violence towards women in the episodes, specifically from males. So more men would watch if something physical happened to a woman.
That's so horrific.
Yikes soup.
Yikes soup indeed. Maybe that's the episode title. So now Gabby shows up at John's place, makes sure his flatmates aren't home, and throws herself at him. John spots the bruises on Gabby's wrist and puts his jacket on as if he's going to go and beat up Carlos or something, but Gabby stops him, telling him that if he really wants to get back at Carlos, then to keep kissing her. John doesn't get it, but Gabby explains that one day when the time is right, she'll tell Carlos how he drove her straight into his arms, and that's going to kill him. And just before the scene ends, we can assume they continue to hook up. Gabby says that whatever he does, not to call her beautiful tonight, which is what Carlos was referring to her as earlier.
This is, again, taking the horror out of it from a purely bird's eye view. Carlos has used the only weapon that he feels he has at his disposal, which is his physicality at this point, because he doesn't have his financial security anymore. And Gabby is using what she thinks is the only weapon she has at her disposal, which is her sexuality. And they're both using them to hurt each other.
Yeah, they're both desperate, not to make light of it.
And I'm not
genuinely.
saying, and I want to be very clear, I'm not saying to the same scale. I'm not saying that it's the same, but I am saying that's the motivation behind both of their actions.
Definitely. I think we just swiftly move on away into our final scenes.
These scenes are much better.
Yes.
I'm much happier with this one. They're back on the lane, our gals, Bree and Lynette. Bree's wearing green again, which made me want to cry a little bit because I think it's a sign that she's thinking about Andrew.
No.
And Bree and Lynette have gotten some hits on some very core wounds with each other. And you can see that both of them are trying to have that, are they going to talk to me? Am I going to talk to them? And again, Lynette's core wound in my head this season is envy. And Bree's is pride. Which makes complete sense to me in this scene because Lynette walks over there to apologize. And Bree says, the fact you even crossed the street to come here tells me everything. So they both apologize to each other. And Lynette says, you know what? Tom seems to have the kids under control. Let's get some coffee and bitch about our kids. And I loved it.
It's so sweet. Also, Brie starts the scene by stepping out to check her mailbox, which she does so often. How much mail were people getting in 2004?
Well, you weren't. Everything was paper mail. All of your bills.
It's craziness.
When you think about every bill that you get, so your Spotify subscription or whatever coming through your door every day.
Yeah, that's fair. I also think that Brie, I mean, they needed to apologize to each other for the scene to work, but Brie did apologize already. So I was kind of like, you don't need to apologize again, Brie.
Yes, I think that it was nice of Brie to do it again to kind of show...
just a reciprocal gesture.
And also to prove that it was really just a misunderstanding on both of their parts.
Yeah.
As opposed to something unforgivable.
Yeah. And then as they go into Lynette's for a coffee... we transition into Mary Alice's voiceover as she tells us that children come into this world with their own agendas, some to brighten her days, and we see Penny the baby, some to test her patience, and we see the twins knock over a pile of books as Brie comforts Lynette a little bit. Mary Alice goes on to saying that some children give us purpose, and we see Zach and Felicia going through one of Martha's photo albums.
Yep.
Some to take care of us, and we see Susan put a blanket over her sleeping mom, which could have just as easily been a Julie and Susan moment. And then Mary Alice gives us a yes. When they come, children change everything. And we see Brie with her head in her hands looking at a picture of Andrew.
A horrible picture of Andrew. And that is handsome. He's a handsome boy, and it's awful. I looked at it and I went, "That's what you chose."
Yeah. Well, maybe that's why she has her head in her hands, because she's like, "Oh, we could have picked a better photographer."
I made that.
And finally, we cut to Gabby and John finishing their hookup, which is hilarious and horrifying in the middle of the voiceover about children. But then Mary Alice finishes by saying that children change everything, especially when they're not invited, implying that John, the now adult gardener, has gotten Gabby pregnant. Done, done, done.
Which can happen scientifically, I think, in terms of like, it would make sense for if Carlos isn't getting her pregnant, that it would be the new sperm that would.
Sure, it could also just be like pure luck that it didn't work out with Carlos and it did this thing. Or maybe, even if, spoilers, she gets pregnant, but like...
Mary Alice does say at the beginning of the episode that she'll be pregnant by the end of the week.
But presumably she's also been having sex with Carlos. So
she has.
It's not necessarily saying John's got her pregnant, it's just adding the element that it could be John's.
I think this is interesting because I wondered if you would have that take. For me, this is confirming the baby is John's.
I actually didn't have that take until right now reading those notes.
For me, I think it was confirming that John was the father of the baby. Because it was their moment that was shown. I don't know.
Yeah. But we also saw that Gabby and Carlos having sex at the start of the episode with the voiceover about her getting pregnant.
By the end of the week. But then we see the end of the week.
Done. Right.
I think, it is a little bit ambiguous.
Let's talk about husbands.
I'm scared.
Now.
I'm scared.
How do we want to... I don't think I can think back to what happened in the last episode. I think we have to skip episode 17 and go to 18 rankings.
Yeah. Carlos is getting a 0. It's goose egg for Carlos.
0, baby. I think, okay, so we've done the worst. I think Rex was the best husband in this episode.
I'm giving Rex like a 9.
I'm giving him a 9, yeah. And then I think...
Reluctantly, I'm giving Tom a 7.
I agree on 7, yeah. It was there was no situation where he really needed to perform, but he was fine. He was good.
Tom's getting a 7.
Yeah, that's the highest he's ever gotten.
And will get.
And then Mike wasn't in this episode, but we did see him in the last episode, so should we rank Mike based on that one? It was his interaction with Sophie and stuff, which was a little bit playful. He tried to give Susan the letter. He doesn't seem to be pushing beyond that.
5.
Yeah, that feels right.
Average.
And there's our husbands. I was not joking when I said a couple episodes ago that I had the revelation that Rex is my favorite husband. I was so right for that.
Do you know, in this arc, yes. In this arc, I think that works. I can't say too much about that, but we'll get there.
We'll get there, baby.
I also think what's really exciting is this feels like Act 3. This feels like we're getting into the finale, the end game. Have we even spoken about how big this reveal is in terms of Dana?
I mean, we've recorded so much today. I have no idea.
But we haven't. So for Zach to be Dana, and so I think it's now implied because Zach is Dana, and there's this woman who's chopped up into little bits. Either this is a private detective, or is this
another lie told by Paul? So, because, I mean, Zach does, in his memory, remember a lot of blood and whatnot. So someone died. It's pretty clear it was this woman in the chest. So now it's a question of who is this woman? And I think from an audience perspective, it's safe to assume that that woman is Deirdre that Mike is looking for, because that's also a woman that's disappeared on the lane and we don't know what the connection is. But I think that is a fair assumption to make at this point.
And we still have so many questions. So Felicia is showing Zach Martha's photo albums. Felicia has the pieces of the puzzle from her own personal life, the pieces of puzzle from Martha. I think she's partly using Zach to get the other pieces.
That makes sense to me.
But one of my favorite things about Felicia is her continuous lack of compassion for Martha.
This is where good taste comes to die.
But I struggle then, but I just think she has to just be a nosy Nelly like myself who needs to know everything, because otherwise what is her motivation?
I think it's just familial obligation. That's why she turned up when Martha went missing and stuff. It's like, well, I don't really care about this person, but she is my sister.
But why is she staying in her house? Why is she trimming the hedge that isn't there with some giant shears?
Because she's a lady.
She is a lady. She is a lady.
She's going to rock that shawl. She's going to do the gardening.
I do ship Paul and Felicia.
They are cut from the same shawl, Martha and Felicia, at the end of the day.
That was beautiful.
You're welcome.
Well, that was episode 18. So how many episodes do we have left this season?
I think there's 22. So we've got a month left of season 1. How insane is that?
That's crazy. When did we start doing this? Did we start recording them in February?
No, I think it was no, it must have been February, yeah.
I think it was February.
Yeah, because that episode 2 was at the end of February when the leak happened.
Yes,
the
that's what I'm saying.
Saying.
So in that time, you'll have, by the time we finish season 1, you could have lived in 3 different places.
Hey, and you could have found your dream home.
Most importantly, I could have my dog.
Most importantly.
Should I name my dog Bongo?
I would love that, and that would be great content. So think of the pod, Erin. Think of the pod.
I need to get a German Shepherd called Bongo.
And we hope you all continue to think of the pod for the next week until the next episode drops.
Yes, thank you so much for everyone who's got in touch. Thank you for everyone who's left lovely comments. Thank you for everyone who's left us a review. That's extremely nice. And thank you, all of you, mostly for staying desperate.
We love you.
We love you. Goodbye.
Bye. Thanks for listening to this week's episode. Be sure to check out our Instagram for visuals, behind the scenes content, and more.
You can find us by searching for Modded, that's MEWDYD.
Or just search for Mary Alice, What Did You Do?
This podcast is brought to you entirely by us, Erin McGee
and Jakub Tanzi. If you're enjoying the show, don't forget to leave us a review. It really helps us out.
Join us next time for another episode of Mary Alice,
What Did You Do?